Welcome back to It's Your Environment. I'm George Curtis, and we have a new guest, a warden that I know pretty well, Jason Higgins. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, George.
Well, it's good to see you in many different contexts. I've seen you a couple of times during deer season and showed you my license and showed you my weapon, and you were just doing your job. And I think many people don't understand that job isn't just to pinch people who are doing something wrong. It's to help them in safety. And you're the first guy there in case there is an accident, and life-saving is a part of your program, isn't it?
Yeah, typically a lot of other agencies respond as well as like sheriff's departments and that sort of stuff, but being a first responder is any law enforcement's job.
Now, deer season is behind us, and of course there still is the hot stove league as to whether there are too many deer, not enough deer, and why, and all of that. And that's good, because it's a resource that belongs to everybody, and everybody has an opinion, and you never can have too many opinions as you try to boil it down for planning next year. And of course, the deer aren't just put here for us to shoot. The deer are here for many reasons, and shooting them is a management tool, a sport, and a major contribution to our economy. And so everybody should have an opinion and an interest in our deer herd.
Yeah, I agree. And Wisconsin's a pretty unique state in that the public and sportsmen, the people who are out there hunting them or viewing them, have a large say in how we manage our deer herds through the spring hearing process, through public meetings and other sorts of venues.
On that subject, in that we have snow, plenty of snow, and the snow covers the food that the deer and the rabbits and the pheasants and some of the other critters rely on, is our wildlife under particular stress this winter, and what, if anything, should we as citizens be doing about it?
Yeah, I think there probably is some added stress when you start getting into low temperatures and large quantities of snow. I know typically I live in the city, and when there's snow, I get rabbits eating my bushes around my house, which typically doesn't happen when there's no snow. So, but citizens can just keep an eye out for stressed animals. If there's stressed animals, they can contact either local rehabilitators or the local DNR to try and handle that situation the best way possible. If it means that a rehabilitator can get out there, or somebody can collect the animal and we can get it rehabilitated and put back into the wild, great. Other times it might be too late and the animal just needs to be euthanized or put down.
But in terms of the overall picture, for example, the deer herd, I think we've learned that we shouldn't put out hay, crops, and feed for the deer. Am I correct?
Yeah, I think that it comes to a personal standpoint and a personal level on some people. There are certainly areas where you cannot be feeding deer, specific counties. Here in Winnebago County you can. It's just got to be under 2 gallons and placed on the ground within 50 yards of your residence if you're just strictly feeding. But sometimes that doesn't necessarily help. It just adds to the effect of the harsh winters, where if you're putting out 2 gallons, you're probably not putting out enough to feed a deer herd to keep them alive. So they tend to find other ways to keep themselves alive, other staple foods, red osier dogwood, stuff like that, that they'll eat and stay alive.
Well, another thing that came along with this winter, besides lots of snow, is ice. And ice is a pretty welcome subject around here because there are many people who think that's the top time of the year. Why?
Ice fishing and other recreational things too. People love getting on the ice to ice skate and doing other things. But ice fishing, this area in particular, is very heavy in fishing year-round. The biggest lag time for a lot of people is that time when the fall ends and the winter begins, because they can't get out on the ice until it gets safe enough to get out there.
Well, how safe is the ice on Winnebago right now?
It's pretty good. I mean, there's probably an average of 16 inches or so, 16, 18, I would guess. Hopefully that'll increase, I guess, a little bit more with some cold weather we have coming. So right now it's pretty safe.
But there are always people who are unaware of the area where the river runs in by the old Pioneer, and we have people that dump into water there every year, and some of them lose their lives.
Yeah. You definitely want to avoid any sort of inlets or outlets, streams, rivers, that sort of stuff. Ice can change even out on Winnebago today, we might have 18 inches in one spot. It might be 14 in another. So you certainly want to use caution when you're out there. Check with your local bait shops or other people who are out on the ice and where they're venturing. But definitely avoid any sort of river mouths and stream inlets.
Now, some people go out on the ice on foot, and some people have four-wheelers, some people have snowmobiles, some people drive out with their pickup trucks. What risks do you take if you take a very expensive vehicle out there? If it goes through, I suspect it's history.
Yeah. If it's going to go through, it's going to be totaled. There's no getting that thing back up and running, I would guess. Pretty expensive to have them removed from what I understand. It isn't cheap. But there certainly is that risk. And we just encourage people that if they're going to go out by ATV or snowmobile or a vehicle, have a life jacket handy, or be wearing a float coat, something to that effect, that if you do go in, you're going to be able to get out, or you'll at least float for a little while till somebody else can help you get out. But it can be pretty expensive to remove those vehicles. And by state law, individuals have they have 30 days to remove that vehicle from the water, unless there's some sort of an environmental impact or risk there that we need to have it removed immediately. Otherwise, by the public nuisance statute, they have 30 days to remove it.
Now, some people have fishing shacks, which are always socially interesting. If you visit somebody's shack, if you're invited in, they have their own amenities, and they can spend a lot of time there and have a great time, but they have to be removed at a certain time too, don't they?
Yeah, they do. Ice shacks south of Highway 64 have to be removed by the first Sunday after March 1st. So I think this year it's going to fall on March 8th or something to that effect, where they have to be removed from the lake if they're not in use. If they're going to pull them out every day, use it and then pull it back, that's fine, but they can't just leave them out on the ice. And those ice shanties have to be marked. They have to have the owner's full name and address on them. Because in the years past, we've had problems throughout the state with people tending to leave ice shacks out late, which makes it pretty dangerous for wardens to go out there to find out whose ice shack it is when you're talking thin ice and going around open water and stuff to that effect. So,
well, Jason, one of the things that just impressed me when I came to this area nearly 40 years ago was the sturgeon spearing. That's something I'd never seen before. And we're going to take a break, and when we come back, I want you to tell the folks about the sturgeon spearing that's coming up, and it's a big thing in Winnebago land, isn't it?
yes, it is.